Hey, welcome back, you guys, to another Monday mail call. And, well, no mail in this video, but we are going to cover some Q&A. But it's also not Monday by the time you're watching this one. It's another video that's just not good. Not good. There's a lot of things have been going on in my life, and we're going to talk about some of them in this video. Please, you guys, support me. Click like on this video. I really appreciate that. That does more than anything for me. But I got to upload this video because I got to try to keep my YouTube relevant. I can't stay away for too long, else YouTube will sweep me under the carpet, as they say. Anyways, we'll be back right after the intro. Thanks for watching. Well, welcome back, everybody. Thanks for watching, as always. This is the second time I'm recording this video. I just didn't like the first one. It sounded too much like a woe is me video, like a teenager, complaining about all their first world problems and shit. But I didn't like my tone, and I couldn't stand listening to myself in the video. So I'm just going to try this one all over again and give you guys a little bit of an update of what's going on in my life here. 3 weeks ago I lost my dad, and that's probably one of the things that impacted me the hardest in my life. That and Skeeter, of course, back in January. And then right after that, of course, I got fired from the biggest job contract, which was kind of a big deal at that moment. And not that I didn't find another job an hour later. But it doesn't mean it didn't hurt. It did bother me. And then come April, I lost my mom's mom. And then, of course, in August, I lost Dad. And then just this past Monday, I lost Grandma, Dad's mom, and people are telling me, you don't sound like you're sad. You need to mourn this. You need to be more upset. It's like, why should I need to be any of this stuff? You have to remember, I've been mourning since January. I'm a little exhausted. I'm kind of numb. I'm a little worn out. It's not that I don't feel. It's just that when you keep getting hit with the same things over and over and over again, you kind of shut down emotionally. And I'm at that point, and everybody deals with things differently. My way has always been to keep busy and keep working. If I don't keep working, I go nuts. I go absolutely nuts. And of course, I've been out of work for 2 months now, almost to the day. In fact, I think it probably is to the day of this, from the time of this recording here. 2 months exactly out of work. And it's put a hurting on me. It's put a big hurting on me financially and just mentally. I'm worn out. And I realized at this point, I'm the oldest surviving member of Dad's family. Dad's father is gone, has been gone since 2002. All of his brothers are gone. Grandma's gone. All of her brothers and sisters are gone. Dad didn't have any brothers and sisters of his own. And now that Dad's gone, I'm the oldest in the family. And I realized after calculating this, the average age that people live to in my family is roughly 86. That's putting all the men and women together that I can remember of the ages that they lived to. 86 is pretty old. Dad is one of the youngest ones to go. Highly unusual, but he was compromised because of his line of work, cigarette smoking, and, just failure to take care of himself. He refused to exercise. He didn't want to change his diet. And those are just a bad combination of things. But I'm going to be 43 in exactly 3 weeks. And at 43 years old, it's exactly half of 86. So I'm not yet over the hill, but I'm exactly at the top of the hill. So I need to consider what I'm going to be doing with the rest of my life. I'm halfway there. I need to start putting things together and stuff I probably should have been doing all along, but downhill from here, I should be freewheeling the rest of the way out. I don't know if I want to, I definitely don't want to go back to work the way I used to. Not that I'm not physically capable of it or anything like that, but rather just because it sucks, and I'd rather do things that make me happy. And that means I want to work on my Volkswagens. I want to build the shop that I've been talking about. I just want to get into the things that I love. and stick with that for the rest of my life and be productive. And, well, I think it's good for me, both for my mental health and the fact that I get exercise from it. So those two things. And, you know, they say if you do what you love, you'll make money, and that could work through YouTube as things have been picking up. If I had a proper facility and I have people helping me with my YouTube channel, as I actually plan to. I don't want to do the filming and editing anymore. I want to start hiring people to do that. I want to be the personality. I want to write the scripts. I want to do the things that I'm really, really good at, and leave all the production stuff to the professionals that can produce a better quality video than what I've been doing. And it's not something that's going to happen overnight. I can't afford that yet. YouTube doesn't make that kind of money. If it did, I certainly wouldn't be talking to you about stuff that's going on in this video, but some people have brought up some rumors, and one rumor in particular is that I've got legal problems, and that's why I haven't put up so many YouTube videos, and why I've disappeared, and why I'm needing so much money. No. The first thing that jumps to mind that everybody jumps to the conclusion on is I'm being sued over Eleanor. And I'm going to remind everybody, number one, Eleanor is not a Ford. Number two, it's not a Mustang. Number three, it has absolutely nothing to do with the Gone in 60 Seconds movies. Neither one of them has nothing to do with Nicolas Cage or the family that owns the rights to the Eleanor car. In addition to that, it's not even spelled the same. It's a different name, okay? It's not to pay tribute to another car. It has nothing to do with that. The name Eleanor, and I will mention it once again, is Miami slang. At least it was back in the 90s. I don't know if it's still. But it's a slang for the other woman. And I had a girlfriend at the time that was extremely jealous of that car. And, well, needless to say, I dumped her. So you could say the car was the other woman. So that's the reason why Eleanor got her name the way it was. And I chose an old historical spelling, one that was more commonly found in, well, Germany. Does that make sense to you? Well, probably does. That is the reason why I'm not getting sued. I do have to cover a lawyer right now, but it's not for the same reasons that you might think. It's because we had an issue with Dad's will. I found Dad's will, and I have no problem dealing with his wishes on there. However, the problem is 1/3 of what Dad owned, and the executor of the will is dead. That person doesn't exist anymore. And Dad had written a second will, which was with that one also, where he split up things between my brother and I, but he neither dated nor signed that one. So that will is void. And the original will, which I'm jumping back and forth here, I can't get my thoughts straight, I'm sorry guys. The original will that split up things 3 ways with my brother and I, and his unfortunate wife that he lost due to cancer about 6 years ago, it didn't have enough witnesses signed on it. So without the number of witnesses required, and I forget what it is, the will is not legally binding. But me, in order to keep things right, I have no problem splitting things 50-50 with my brother. My lawyer knows me well, and he knows that I can be trusted, and he even explained that to my brother, although my brother's not having any questions. And he and I, we got along terribly as kids. I mean, we hated each other. But as adults, I don't know, that's all gone. I mean, we grew up separately from the time that we were in our early teens. He went to Mom, I went to Dad, and I had an opportunity to grow, as did he, and while we grew apart, we ended up growing back together due to what's happened here. So that is good something that's coming out of this. The lawyer trusted me to the point that he even gave me a tidbit of information and, you know, told me that I could take advantage of my brother by doing this, this, and this. And I was like, no, absolutely not. 50-50, or we're not doing it. I mean, this is wrong. And he stopped and he said to me, I was testing your integrity. He says, that's exactly what I wanted to hear. And the chills went up my spine that, you know, I had just passed this test that he was jerking me around with here. So anyway, he trusts me probably more than ever. My brother trusts me. So what's going on is my brother and I are splitting everything halvesies, and we're working out the details. I'm being set up as the executor because I am also in Florida. My brother lives way over in Arizona, so due to Florida law, it makes it a whole lot easier for me to handle things over here. But that's what we've got on that. I'm still continuing to get bills for Dad. So many bills. And now, of course, now that Grandma's gone, I've got Grandma's bills too. It's incredible the amount of just medical bills that I'm getting that aren't covered completely by insurance or Medicare or all the rest of the stuff. I've got stacks of Dad's credit card bills that are still coming in. Charges and things that he had made before he went to the hospital. Apparently I missed one of the bills even, so the next one's got all kinds of late fees and interest on it, which is more than the amount that the credit card was for. And I have problems with that, but that's a story for another video about how the banks just love to rip you off. I've also got to pay water and power on 2 houses right now, so I'm covering those 2 bills in both places. I have to keep the air conditioning running in the other house, because if you've ever lived in Florida before, and you know, if you shut the air conditioning off in a house for an extended period of time, you can probably get away with it for a couple of weeks. But if it's months, everything gets dank, everything gets wet, the place stinks, mold starts to grow. It's a very bad thing. So I have to continue paying power. And of course, water is still being paid there, as well as internet, because I'm still making my regular trips down there. And as far as trips are concerned, I've made about 8 of them already. So I'm paying roughly $100 every time I make a trip one direction, and then $100 on the way back. So 8 trips. I mean, you do the math on that. That is just a lot of money in gas. Just a lot of money in gas. I've also got taxes to pay on 2 properties, because this is just a wonderful time of year, right towards the end here, where the taxes are due on both properties. So I've got to deal with that. It's just absolutely incredible what I've got going on here. Now, in addition to that, when I got down to my dad's house the first time, the tires on the Z, they went poop. One of them had a huge bulb coming out of it. The other one was losing air. So between those 2, I ended up with shitty tires. So now I had to replace a set of tires on there. And I had just done the front tires a week before. The back ones were a lot newer. I figured I could get away with them a little while longer. But no, they actually, believe it or not, started to have problems from the moment I arrived in Dad's driveway. And then about a day later, the air conditioning on it went out. So, holy shit. That's all I got to say. Holy shit. Over $1,000 in repairs required on the Z. You know, it's got 140,000 miles on it. I get it. It's not young. It's going to have its problems. But, yeah. So I got to pay that right now, too, if I plan to use my own car. I could drive Dad's car for a little while longer. But I mentioned my birthday's in 3 weeks. Dad's birthday is also in 3 weeks. He coincidentally has a birthday on the same day as I do. And my birthday is really going to suck this year, because I always tried to call Dad before he'd call me to wish me a happy birthday. And, of course, neither one of those is going to happen this time. But the lovely thing in Florida is, if you're a resident, you get the lovely birthday tax. And what that means is if you want to register your vehicles to keep them on the street, it expires on your birthday. So they give you the wonderful gift of paying all the registrations. And mind you, I have a couple motorcycles. I have a couple trailers. I have a Volkswagen, and possibly 2 if I get Eleanor ready to go, which is a story for later. And of course the Z. So I've got to pay all these registrations. And coincidentally, also my insurance is due on everything. So just holy crap. Just holy crap. I've got to pay all this out. And, it's just a mess. Of course, I'm still paying Dad's car insurance also until his registration expires. When the registration expires, I can't renew it because it's not in my name. So we're just going to let that lapse. My brother's interested in the car, so we're working on probate. I'm going to leave the car parked behind my house where it legally can be covered up and not dealt with. But I've also paid for my brother's plane tickets back and forth over to here also. It's amazing how much this stuff has added up. And then on top of all that, guess what? I got to pay lawyer fees. That's right, because all this stuff that's got to go into probate now, the house, the car, my dad's trailers, his boat, the motorcycle, everything that he's got has to go to probate. And you guys might be saying, well, Duckman, you're going to get rich off all that, right? You're going to make a lot of money when you go ahead and get the house sold and get all these properties and things that he owns sold, right? We're going to talk about that in just a minute. Let me go inside and grab my mail. Well, look at what we got here. Yeah, a jumper cable. Because the damn battery didn't have enough amperage to turn it over. Look who came to save the day. Mr. Wild Bill himself.
It tore me away from working on something. But I don't know. My work day, the last 24 hours has been disastrous. I even
sorry to interrupt you then.
Well, no. I needed to work a break.
Oh, well, in that case, you're welcome.
Well, my neighbor said, "Hey, Mr. Bill, can you help me start my weed eater?" And I said, "Sure." He said, "It won't go." And I said, "Well, let's take the spark plug off." So I'm pulling on this thing to see if it's getting a spark, snap the daggone cord on the daggone weed eater. I felt so bad. So I let him borrow mine.
I've been there too, yeah.
Then I went to install a dishwasher, and it was washer. Washer.
Dishwasher.
Yeah, washer. You know, it's got a little lucky nut on it. And today at a rental house, and the old dishwasher did not. All the fittings and everything were completely different than the new one, so I had to change everything. Naturally, on the drain hose, I'm trying to mate them up. Sprung a leak.
Oh.
So my day has not been good. And then last night I messed up the carburetor. So.
No, my whole damn year hasn't been good.
Yeah, I know.
And I don't know if I mentioned to you, but I changed the regulator out on here about a month ago.
Wow.
No, maybe it was 2 months ago, because the little red light was on the dashboard. And the one that I put in, I don't know where it came from. I put it in and the red light went off, but apparently it's not charging it properly. So I think that's what it is. It's new.
Oh.
Yeah, I bought it last December, November, so it's well, fairly new. It's less than a year.
And you drive it a lot, so it's not like it's just...
Drive it regularly, but I didn't start having problems with it cranking over, though, until the regulator started to become an issue.
Put a voltmeter on it and see what
yeah, I'm willing to bet it's just a lousy regulator. I've got a brand new one sitting on a kitchen counter. I actually bought it because I didn't have any more. I figured that would be a great spare. Of course, it wouldn't help us today anyway, because if you don't have a battery, it's got enough juice. And I probably could have bump started it, but it tends to flood when it's cold.
Yeah.
Or not cold, when it's hot and sits, because the carburetors boil over, so it floods the engine. So you got to hold the gas pedal down and crank it for about 10 seconds before finally it lights, and then it's fine.
Not enough power.
Yeah, and there's not enough cranky right now. It turns over kind of slow, and after about 8 seconds, you don't get quite to the 10, and
That's a good point. If your solenoid is actuating, you got at least 7 volts going there. You got to have at least 7 volts. But if it's enough that it kicks the starter in on the starter, it saps all of the energy from the coil, and you got no spark.
No fire, right?
It's like, what the?
Well, let's see if it'll start. I mean, it was almost starting before, but I think it'll probably will now. It only needed a little more than what it had. Right. Let's see what we got. Of course, everything's in the way right now. All right, here we go. Check one more time anyway. Yeah, the lights are much brighter on the dash. There it is. That's all it needed. That's all it needed. All right, I think that regulator is definitely bad. We're going to swap that thing out. Thanks very much, Bill.
Sure.
There it is. It's the first time I've ever had a Volkswagen breakdown. I had to have somebody help.
Yep.
Believe it or not, that's the truth to it. And it was actually just something stupid as that.
Well, except that night that you needed a wrench.
Well, that wasn't really a breakdown. I had a wrench, I just couldn't find it. I found it the next morning, of course. It was there. I could have done it with pliers, too, but I didn't want to screw the nut up.
Broke into Don's garage and used all of his tools.
I just used my teeth on it.
Yeah.
I just bite it. It's just a throttle cable bolt. I mean, I had it changed in, what, 60 seconds or something? And I'm pretty good at that nowadays. So.
Well, I'm getting ready to tear back into Rust Day tomorrow. I had Colin Kellogg came over and
oh boy,
gave me,
we know who he is.
His opinion. And so he seems to think there was no serious damage done. He checked the implant and stuff had already done.
What was wrong? I don't recall.
It overheated.
It did overheat, okay.
To the point where I was losing power going up hills, coming out of Montgomery. And so I had to pull off, and then it stalled. The engine kind of like wouldn't turn over because it was too hot. The pistons.
Ah, everything swelled up.
But it didn't score the cylinder walls. I pulled the head off. I had a real bad exhaust leak on that one side, and so I've got another head. I'm going to put it on. I didn't pull the engine. The bus was my engine test stand. So
there you go.
other than having to lay down on the ground, and I couldn't do that because it was raining a lot. But man, should have good progress on it tomorrow.
Good.
Then I got to go fix the dishwasher.
Oh, lovely. Well, I got my own life to deal with. You know what's going on there. I'm actually talking about that in this very video.
Yeah.
So we're going to finish that up and get back on there. But we should be fine. Maybe you follow me in case I stall.
Yeah, I will. You break down in front of Howie's Pizza, man. That's at least you won't starve.
That's right. At least I won't starve.
Yeah. All right.
I appreciate it, Bill.
Not a problem.
Signing off. Well, that actually was a little blessing in disguise. I'm so thankful that Wild Bill stopped. Okay, he just got caught at a red light. But to make a long story short, I had a bad fuel leak. It was dripping fuel all over the ground, and I mean, it was gushing pretty badly. And it turned out I had a little hole in the fuel line on the right side carburetor. You see that right there? Anyway, I cut an inch of it off, put the clamp back on, and put it all back together, and it's fine. And I don't even know what caused the nick. But obviously you can't drive a Volkswagen leaking fuel onto a hot engine because what do? Well, they burst into flames. I have a fire extinguisher, but I'd rather not test it, if you know what I mean. And while Bill's behind me at the traffic light, it turned red. It's turning green now. So he should be coming up here shortly. I still got the red, of course, so I'm stuck. Oh, never mind, it's green. Oh, what a day. So thankful for friends like Wild Bill and all of my YouTubers that are taking care of me at times like this because, as I was saying, just things are really bad. I got to pay out just a ton of money to all these expenses for 2 houses, all the things that are necessary to keep a second property maintained while having absolutely no income. And then to top it off, you know, I still have to pay a lawyer on it. And some people have said, you know, Duckman, you know, you're going to make a lot of money off of this when you sell Dad's house, right? Well, my dad was living the Florida dream. He used to be a wealthy man. He had a lot of money way back when I was a kid, but he did what anybody that has a lot of money should do. This idiot here. Go. You're supposed to enjoy your money. Do it while you can. And I have no qualms with him over the way he handled his money or what he did with his money. He enjoyed it for his entire duration of his life. But in the end, he had a little house, he had a car, he had a motorcycle, he had a boat, and a couple of utility trailers, and well, that's it. He didn't need anything else. He didn't need to maintain anything else. That was more than enough for him. And I'm so happy that he did what he did. I mean, again, I have no problem with that whatsoever. So for those of you out there that have money, enjoy it. Don't pass it on. Enjoy the crap out of it. So when it comes time to sell the house, of course, am I going to make a fortune on it? No, not at all. It was a relatively cheap house. It's not a very big house. It's not in a really desirable location or any of that. And, of course, once it gets sold, I got to pay the real estate agent. The lawyer's going to want a little chunk out of it for probate. I've also got to pay the tax man when it comes down to it. And I know there's ways to get out of that, but you know what? If you just pay the tax man, he goes away. Well, you know, let that be a lesson to you. You pay the tax man, he goes away. That's right. Wesley Snipes, if you're watching this, pay the tax man, he goes away. Somebody like me, they wouldn't be interested in putting in jail because it's not enough money, not any publicity that they get out of it. They just make me work it off for life because putting me in jail will be counterproductive. It's not like I have the money to pay some huge amount of taxes. But anyway, that's the story of that one here. Of course, once it's sold, as I said, a real estate agent gets their chunk, lawyer gets their piece, and then whatever's left, I got to split 50-50 with my brother. So there's not a whole lot of meat left on the bone. And, well, frankly, it's not a whole lot of meat left at all. So I am really appreciative of friends like Wild Bill taking care of me tonight. I'm also really appreciative of friends like Bee herself. Bee has really pushed the limit, She set up a GoFundMe account, something I didn't ask for. I really didn't ask for that. A GoFundMe account that a lot of people have participated in putting donations up. If you're interested in it, I'll put a link down below in the video description. It'll also be in the first pinned comment. Again, she set that up for me. I didn't ask for that. I just couldn't believe it the next morning when I saw that not only had it been created, but so many people that I love, or friends of mine that have always been around for me, have thrown into the pot to take care of me through this. And again, it's not enough to get me rich, but it's certainly going to help a lot. I mean, even just a couple $100 helps a lot, because that's the electric bill in 2 locations. Well, Dad's is actually a lot more than mine. A lot hotter down there. His air conditioner works a lot harder. Mine's more like 100. His is more like 150, 160. But there's also been a lot of people that have donated to my PayPal Rum and Cola fund, and they put some considerable amounts in there. I mean, again, it's not enough to live off by any means, but every little bit helps, and I'm so thankful for it. And then, of course, there's people out there that are like, oh, Duckman, you know, you'll find your way through it. I don't feel like giving you anything. Well, you don't actually have to give me anything. If you'd really like to help, there's a way you can do it and still get something out of it for yourself. Buy yourself a DuckmanCycles t-shirt. I get, I don't know, $3, $4, $5 or something, depending upon which one you buy, what style it is. So, again, every little bit on that counts too. So there'll be links down below in the video description. I'm trying to support myself rather than ask people to do so many handouts. But I just haven't had any time to do much with the YouTube. And, of course, I'm just out of work. So just money it's non-existent right now. And it's really hard. Just really hard. But after this, I'm going to try to get back to a normal life. I'm going to try to start doing regular YouTube videos again in the next couple of weeks. I still have so much cleaning out of Dad's house to do. I'm still going to have several trips back and forth with that. And I mean, that's a half a week every time I make these trips and clean up the house and then make that trip back and then unload everything. It's a half a week. So there's no time to actually work. It's just, there isn't. I might be able to get 1 day of work in a week, if at all possible. And I'm thankful when I can. But lately that hasn't worked out, so it's just there hasn't been work on the days that I need to work. So I go right back to unloading, paying Dad's bills, contacting people. I mean, even though both Grandma and Dad were cremated, I had to pay that too, and you don't realize how cheap that isn't. Woo! There's certainly a lot of expense to go on that one. And then I still have to make a trip yet to bring both Dad and Grandma back up to New Jersey, because that was their wishes. That was their wishes. So that burden has been left to me, and whatever cousins and family and friends that have known Dad since forever, way up there, Grandma's friends are all long gone, which is why she moved to Florida to begin with. But well, you know, you just got to do what you got to do. You have to honor people's wishes, especially since Grandma bought herself a place in a crypt where Grandpa's at now. So despite being cremated, she will be joining him there. So a little work that's involved in that. I'm thankful to all of my Patreon supporters, everybody that's gotten on the Patreon that's supported me, and some of them have been with me now for like 2 years, and I thank you guys so much. I really should get on here and read your names off. I really should. Unfortunately, I'm a little ill-prepared for that, but I am going to do that in the near future. I thank each and every one of you. Some of you have stayed, some of you have left, some of you left and came back. Again, all of you, just a huge thank you, a very huge thank you. You guys have just been awesome. But I'm carrying on a little bit here. I'm getting tired, I'm sweaty, I'm dirty. I just want to get home. And I'm so glad that Ruby runs as well as she does, that the only problem has been just charging. In fact, you know what? I'm looking at the charge light here on the dashboard, and it's on. It's on. It's not like on bright, but it is on. It's on dim. There's definitely something up with charging system, and I don't think it's the generator itself, because when I replaced the regulator, I actually went and tested it, and it was doing everything it was supposed to. So unless that just suddenly went bad, but I think it's a regulator. So I've got one sitting home on the kitchen counter. I bought a spare because I didn't have a spare. Needless to say, the spare's going in, and I'm going to have to order another one. Always like to keep a spare in the car, but a regulator today, well, that wouldn't have done me any good if the battery just doesn't hold charge. So yeah, the Duckman does have breakdowns too, but usually I'm able to fix it on the roadside. Bump starting this thing just isn't really possible because carburetors tend to flood themselves when it sits idle after you shut it off. The hot engine will bleed into the carburetors, and the fuel in the bowls will start to boil, and it actually boils over down into the engine, and that's no good for your oil and everything else. But I mean, I tried putting spacers and everything on it, to make it better, and nothing made it better. The heat soak is just, it's inherent. That's just the way it's going to work on here. So anyway, with that said, it floods the engine, so when you go to restart it, you got to hold the key on for like 5 to 10 seconds with the gas pedal to the floor just for it to finally start to fire. And then once it does, it's always fine, but it'll hiccup and sputter a little bit while the intake manifolds are all wet from the fuel that bubbled over into it. And then, of course, once it clears the throat, it's fine. So anyway, I would not have been able to bump start it just because of that. I would have had to have a long downhill, which again, I didn't have. This is Florida. And I didn't have anybody to help me push it up to any significant speed either for that long of a duration to make that happen. Oh boy. Well, as always, you guys, licky, likey, comment, subscribe, pluck that dingle belly. That way you get updates every time I upload a video. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Watch through all this dribble and all the stuff that's going on in my life. I mean, just, it's been huge things, and I thank everybody for sticking around through all this. Really, you guys have just been friends to me, and I needed all the support that I could get. So, again, thank you. I really appreciate it. We'll see you guys next time. Hopefully, with new videos and much better news as things happen in my life. Progress, that's what I want to see in my own life. I want to see things happen. I want to make things for the better. And that's always and endlessly been my goal. Thanks again, guys. Take care.